Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bare Bones Wargaming, a show with no bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. Now, on this episode, we're picking up with the next turn of the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere game. It is the beginning of 1941. I've already done the selection of the cards, my deliberate choices with the Japanese, and then, of course, my random ones with the Allies. So for Japan, I've chosen 2 production cards and 2 naval actions, because this turn I will begin to get the oil down here in Borneo. So that I can use for either strategic, naval, or land movement choices. The Allies have chosen 4 production markers and 3 each of naval and CBI, so we'll see how that goes. Now, this particular turn, the United States is going to take the opportunity to declare war on the Empire of Japan. So when war is declared, the air units of the country that is being attacked retreat. So I have to put that air unit of Japan into the retreat box, and now the U.S. will get to conduct 2 special operations. So, as the U.S., I'm thinking a couple of things here. One of the things I'm thinking about is trying to launch an operation to basically capture Borneo and knock off the oil, because that is fairly vulnerable over there. As Japan, I probably should have put something more there as well. So the U.S. could do 2 moves. They could move to Solomons, to Port Moresby, to Samoa, I should say, to Port Moresby, and then attack at Borneo. Or they could simply move in and take over the Marshalls and then take over Truk, denying Japan 2 spaces there right off the bat. There's a good chance with a carrier or battleship that I'll be able to win the battle at Borneo, more than likely. Let's see. The only question about that I have right now is, if that happens during the middle of a turn like this, then is Japan already considered to have all the oil that came from that spot? And I do believe, yeah, because it says here, if Japan controls it at the beginning of the operations, then it can be used during that operations phase. But this is the declare war phase, so I may not be able to do that. So I may actually end up losing those 2, which will make this a very short game if that ends up being the case. You know what? It says at the beginning of the operations phase, and the declaration of war phase is a different phase of the game. So I'm beginning to think with this special ops phase, let me check that rule again here. I mean, it's a part of, what we do playing war games. Let me see here now. Okay. Yeah, following this, the player just declared war can immediately perform 2 strategic movements. Okay, Let's see. Can occupy battles that are caused by that. The order of attack changes. But it's not the beginning of the operations phase. So I'm going to say that, I think if I go ahead and grab Borneo right now, I'm going to deny Japan the ability to use that this turn. Ouch. That will definitely sting. Yeah. Whoo, that's I'm just rereading this and double checking here. Sorry to take this. Yeah, okay, I think that's what's going to happen. So as the U.S., as a U.S. player, that's the smartest thing I think I can do. So I'll take my first free action and move to Port Moresby, and then I'm going to come over here and strike at Borneo and try to take that away from the Japanese. Ouch. So the CV gets to fire first. Oh, double 4s. It missed. Oh, whoa, Nelly. Oh, let's see what the battleship can do. The battleship gets 2 shots. Oh, and the battleship only got one hit. Oh my goodness. I don't believe it. So the battleship survived. So I'll have the chance now to go ahead and fire back with the Japanese. And the Japanese roll a 1, hitting the U.S. battleship. So Japan actually will survive this, and the U.S. units will go back to the retreated box. Ooh. Wow. Wow. That was amazing die rolling. Well, lucky for the Empire of Japan. But now the U.S. has declared war. The U.S. will actually get to go first. So let's see what the U.S. is going to do here. U.S. is going actually with the production move here first. So I guess after that little bit of a sting there. But they can also use this production card, as you can see, for strategic movement, which means I could move from the retreated box back onto the map and take another crack here at what's going on. Or I could also do any replacement, which means I could fix that battleship first. But I gotta admit, I'm inclined to bring this aircraft carrier into the game. So I'm going to do that and bring him into Samoa to defend Samoa for one thing. And then that way I can go ahead and try this again to strike at Borneo. Alright, so Japan's up here. Now, Japan, you got to be worried about that oil down there. That's a big concern now. All of a sudden we've got major issues with that. That was unexpected. Kind of left that open there. But I guess that's part of the dangers of not declaring on the war on the U.S. at the same time as the Commonwealth. So, from a Japanese perspective, I'm going to go ahead and use one of the oil points to do a strategic movement. And I'm going to bring one of the battleships and one of the aircraft carriers tracing through Okinawa and Saigon and come down and to defend that. It might be a little bit of overkill, but I guess you could say that, you know, I'm going with what I think here is stream of consciousness. I'm not second guessing myself. I guess you could call it the recency effect, as we say in decision-making theory, that with that such a big surprise like that, it's kind of, I know it's going to be a little bit of overkill, but I don't want to lose that oil. Okay, the Allies again are going to go with production. So their little stab having failed, beefing up seems to be the order of the day. So since we're beefing up, I might as well go ahead and move this battleship along one space on the track and also bring it into the game as well. Now, for Japan, I could use my production and do an any replacement, and I could go ahead and try to beef up that veteran force there, but the only problem with that is now getting into Calcutta is going to be difficult. So maybe I should be looking at dealing with the United States instead and trying to hold off the U.S. after all the beefing up I did. I'm tempted just to move down and try to grab the Philippines, but then I got to keep an eye on Japan too, because I can't leave that too wide open, because the U.S. has huge buildup there at Pearl Harbor and also at Samoa. Samoa, of course, less of a worry. I'm thinking, I think I'm going to use one of the production cards and bring this aircraft carrier into play, because I did lose one before. So we'll go that route there. For the Allies, see, this is a 2, so now they can do a naval action. So could end up moving, but I could also do the strategic move with this particular naval action. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the units from the retreated units box, and I'm going to move them into Samoa, anticipating a strike here very shortly. Alright, I think now is Japan. My other thing I'd like to do, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do a naval action. And I'm going to go ahead and bring one of the carriers, one of the battleships, and come in here and occupy the Philippines for the time being. So I'll go ahead and grab that. Now, it doesn't have an anchor, so I need to take that into consideration here a little bit later on, because, again, you can only have one navy build in a space that does not have a port symbol. Next card for the Allies is one of the CBI theater cards. Well, I could launch an offensive and try to destroy that veteran unit. You know what? That makes the most sense. I'm going to play one of the CBI cards for a land assault, and we'll go ahead and move these guys on Rangoon. So I've got 4 infantry, that are firing at, or 4 steps of infantry firing at 2 attacks. Got 2 hits. That is going to be enough to completely wipe out that Japanese infantry unit. They'll get 1 shot back at 3 or less, and they did manage to score a hit, but now those guys are back into the pool box, and the Allies are back into Rangoon. Except, well, no, I would have to stop in Ceylon, because by the rule adjustment, which by the way can be found in the Consim World folder for quarter deck games, I'd have to go and stop in Ceylon, so that would give them a chance to scramble back to Calcutta, or even put the battleship. Well, though the battleship has to follow the production track, so that's true, but they'll be able to scramble that unit back. I got 3 left as Japan. I've got the oil, I've got naval, and I've got production. I'm going to use the oil marker, and I'm going to bring the Japanese air unit to the Philippines. I'm going to bring it down there to kind of secure what I do have a hold of here, so that the air unit can be used for combat, just in case the Allies come back after Borneo yet again. Okay, the Allies have rolled another naval action. They're going to use one of the naval cards here. So now the question is where to go from here. You know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and move from Samoa here. I'm going to move the 2 carriers and the battleship 2 spaces over here to Port Moresby. And I'm going to go after Borneo again. Alright, now production I could do replacement anywhere if I want, so I could rebuild that battleship there, but I also need to bring this infantry back in. I also get that marine on the production track. It's not enough time to do things. I'm going to take my chances and just go ahead and bring this unit back, the one that was destroyed with the production card. Excuse me. Allies, they're going to go ahead and they're going to do their last naval action. So I'm going to go ahead and follow it up once again, and I'm going to go ahead and try to strike at Borneo and see if I can keep the Japanese from getting that oil again here in the next turn. So Class A units go first. The U.S. has 4 steps worth of aircraft carriers. They will hit at 3 or less. Oh, they only got 1 hit. Ooh, they got 6 2 5s and a 3. Ouch. Now Japan, because it has the air unit located in the Philippines, will get to roll their 2 steps of carriers at 4 or less. And they scored 2 hits, which will allow them to destroy one of the U.S. aircraft carriers. The firing individual gets to choose unless there's excess hits. When there's excess hits, then those are chosen by the defender. Alright, the U.S. battleship will now open fire at 2 or less, and it missed with both with a 5 and a 4. And now the Japanese, with 3 steps of battleships, augmented to a 3 again because of the air unit in the Philippines, scored 2 hits, which will devastate that U.S. battleship. And the U.S. aircraft carrier will have to go to the retreated units box, and Borneo is held. All right, well, that worked out okay. Last thing I got here for Japan is a naval action. So with this naval action, I can do a strategic movement on this card. I can also do naval replacement. You know what? I'm going to play the naval replacement and flip this CV back over to the side he needs to be on. That's what I'm going to do with that. Now, the Allies still have 4 cards left over here to do. It's another CBI theater card. Well, they could advance with one of their land units onto Singapore, but you know what I'm going to do first? I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to flip this infantry unit first to strengthen it to there. Maybe I should have moved down to there, but Japan's on a move. So as the Allies, I pretty much can just leisurely go about my business here. Which again, passing, of course, probably would have been a good idea. But I'm going to go ahead, and since there is, well, You know what? I don't like that idea, actually. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try and bring in the air unit for the CBI. And that leaves me with 2 production cars left for the U.S. Now, the U.S. took a bit of a beating here this last time. But they could do some replacements, too, as well as developing. So what I think I'll do is I'll do 1 replacement on the battleship. And with the other one, I'm going to go ahead and bring another battleship into production as well, because the naval forces did take a bit of a beating. Now, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and close up here, because I'm going to take a few minutes to think before the start of the next turn exactly how I want to redeploy all the units for 1942, because there are considerations here, including the Japanese in both the Philippines and Borneo. I've got to move basically lots of them, which means that air unit is going to be vulnerable in the Philippines, or Borneo is going to be vulnerable, and I really can't afford that. So I'll contemplate and think about that off camera. So again, Tim Korchnoi, Bare Bones Wargaming. We'll see you next time.